Let's turn to the very latest revelations, which are getting hard to keep track of, around Supreme Court corruption. Put this up on the screen. So this one involves Chief Justice John Roberts, may provide some insight into why he has refused to come and testify to lawmakers about corruption in the Supreme Court. He is married to a woman named Jane Roberts, who has made $10.3 million in commissions from elite law firms by placing, lawyers, top lawyers at these elite law firms. She is earning commissions. This is according to documents revealed by a whistleblower who worked with her at this legal headhunter firm that she was at. They say Jane Roberts generated a whopping $10.3 million in commissions. This was paid out by corporations and by law firms for placing high-dollar lawyers with them. They include analysis that for this industry, this is like the tippy top of the spectrum of what people make doing this job. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that when it is the wife of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court who's like, hey, why don't you hire this lawyer, right, big corporation or big law firm, you're probably going to do it. Why? Because you want to curry favor with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in case your clients or your business have business in front of the court, and maybe that personal relationship might be the thing that puts you over the top. Now, am I saying that that is 100% happened or that decisions have been swayed by this type of what I would consider wildly disgusting, inappropriate relationship? No way to know. But every other federal judge in the country is supposed to hold themselves to a standard of not even the appearance of impropriety. And yet we have to learn about these multi-million-dollar payments from a whistleblower who worked with her who said, this is insane. Let me read you a little bit of the statement. And then, Saagar, I want to hear your reaction to this. This whistleblower said, when I found out that the spouse of the Chief Justice was soliciting business from law firms, I knew immediately it was wrong. It's according to a whistleblower named Kendall B. Price, who worked alongside Jade Roberts at the legal recruiting firm Major Lindsay in Africa. She said, during the time I was there, I was discouraged from ever raising the issue, and I realized that even the law firms who were Jane's clients had nowhere to go. They were being asked by the spouse of the Chief Justice for business worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there was no one to even complain to. Most of these firms were likely appearing or seeking to appear before the Supreme Court. It is natural that they would do anything they felt was necessary to be competitive.
Yeah, I just think that the issue is, and I've actually heard of feminist arguments in defense of people like her or Ginny Thomas or actually any of the spouses of the Supreme Court. And it's one of those where nobody asks you to be on the Supreme Court. When you do, you would presume you need to take extraordinary sacrifice. If you are the best legal recruiter on earth, let's just say that that's true, well, then you probably should tell your husband, honey, can't go to the Supreme Court because I want to continue cashing in and making these dollars. But whenever your family signs up for that, then frankly, especially whenever your finances are totally intertwined like this, I'm sorry, it's just not appropriate.
Yeah.
You know, and I see this constantly. You know, the amount of intermingling that I see of all of these justices would shock you. I mean, I recently heard about, Supreme Court justices, and this is well known, who are attending dinner parties with lawyers who are arguing things before the court. Now, do you really believe that has no impact on that, the social scene, in terms of Justice Breyer or any of these others who are commingling and sitting with people who are then appearing before the court? And this happens all the time in terms of this dirty, secret relationship. And the crazy thing is that these are the people who are supposed to make the law. And I don't care. I've heard a lot of conservative defenses are like, they're going after Clarence Thomas, they don't like him. Yeah, it certainly may be true. But nobody made him just not report financial disclosures. It's like, you're the one who do. One of the reasons whenever you're one of the things you should do when you're a target, dot your I's and cross your T's. Pay your taxes. Make sure that you're a financial disclosure. Is that so much to ask?
Yeah.
I just don't think it is.
Clarence Thomas and I think some of the other, all the conservative justices, to be honest with you, I mean, they have this view, number one, that money is speech.
Yeah.
So they look differently at this, like, money that's going to benefit them, their spouses, whatever, number one. And number two, they also have this very limited view of corruption where it's actively like you have to be taking a bag of cash in exchange for giving a favorable decision in order for them to view it as corruption. So their ideology is at the core of this rot, specifically with regard to the conservative justices. But I think it goes beyond the conservative justices. I think this is one of those instances where there's a whole ecosystem created around all of the justices on the court. I think there is a view among the all or most of the justices that because they are put into this elite position of power, that they should live the high lifestyle of other elites who make a lot more money than they do. And so what do they make? They make like $200,000 as a Supreme Court justice. I mean, they make a good amount of money, right? I mean, you out there will probably be, feel pretty good about earning $200K. It's not some, not a pittance. 286. Yeah. So we're not talking about a pittance here, but they feel like they should be leading the life of a multi-millionaire. And so when Harlan Crow comes along and is going to take you on his, trip on his luxury super yacht and fly you there on the private jet and all in all spend $500,000 on one vacation, you feel like that is the life that you have earned and deserved, rather than seeing yourself as a true public servant with a lot of power that, yes, may come with sacrificing the multi-million dollar payouts that you could have achieved if you had gone to work in the private sector, and that may also come with a cost for your spouses in terms of some of the things that they have to give up in terms of their own careers and ambitions, connections, etc. That's the true way that you look at public service, not how do I get around this measly almost $300K salary to cash into the tune of multi-millions of dollars and live that high lifestyle. And I say this is an ecosystem because there's another piece that is, lengthy from the New York Times about the way that universities, and specifically George Mason University, have created these very cushy teaching positions, have done all sorts of over-the-top things to curry favor, specifically with the conservative justices. The George Mason Law School has now been named the Scalia Law School. They are deeply entwined with the Federalist Society. This has become one of, if not the major locus of sort of conservative ideological legal thought in the entire country, and very intentionally made it so. Put this up on the screen, this next piece. The headline here is how Scalia Law School became a key friend of the court. George Mason University's law school cultivated ties to justices with generous pay and unusual perks. In turn, it gained prestige, donations, and influence. So here's the way this cycle works. George Mason University offers these tremendous perks, things like, oh, you'll go teach in whatever city you pick in Italy for multiple weeks. So we'll put you up there. This is one of the loopholes of things that Supreme Court justices are allowed to do outside of their work on the court. We'll put you up there in, lavish fashion. We'll pay for your meals. You do a little bit of teaching in the morning, I guess, but then you can do whatever you want the rest of the day. So, and there's these sort of bespoke experiences created to lure the justices. They use their proximity to the justices to raise hundreds of millions of dollars for these law schools. So the school benefits tremendously. And then, lo and behold, their students also end up getting far more Supreme Court clerkships and other high-level elite clerkships than they ever did before. So it's, again, this whole ecosystem that is created of favor trading and big money. And again, to get to the influence here, also, a lot of the justices' co-professors end up filing amicus briefs intended to sway the court. So these are people that they've met, that they've taught with, that they've gone on lavish Italian or whatever vacations with, and they're submitting briefs. Scalia law professors, they say, are not simply regular amicus brief filers. A quarter of the school's briefs submitted to the court since the justices joined the faculty have been written by professors who served as the justices' co-teachers, some while classes were ongoing. So it creates the appearance of an explicit attempt to use the people that the justices know in order to sway their decisions on the court here.
Yeah, I just think it's important, too, where this is a look into the... But, I mean, Harvard University has multiple people who have fellowships and connections. I mean, all of these justices are intertwined in a nonprofit corporate industrial complex, which is difficult to wrap your mind around. I also don't think that people fully appreciate how much big law is, ingrained in all of this as well. There are only a couple of firms that really specialize in Supreme Court litigation, and lo and behold, they hire a bunch of former clerks. This is a social scene, probably more than anything. I have limited insight because I know a few people who are involved. I mean, they consider themselves like families. Like once you've, it's almost like the mafia. Like once you've you've been a clerk for like one particular justice, you're like part of this world of former clerks, and they help each other and all of that, and they all know about what's going on behind the scenes and whispers, and it all entails like Harvard and Yale gossip, so it's actually pretty incestuous and gross. But anyway, the point is that there's a tremendous amount of money that is involved with all of this, where the appearance of corruption has been there, I would just say, for a long time, and I think it's a good thing that we're all beginning to look into it. So people are like, oh, they're going after the conservatives. It's like, okay, no, nothing is stopping you, by the way, from going out and finding the same with Elena Kagan or Sotomayor. I guarantee you it's out there. I guarantee you it is.
Even with the George Mason University Law School, which is, like I said, a sort of hotbed for conservative legal thought now. Some of the other justices, I think Kagan was named in this piece as well, as getting some, cushy gigs and them reaching out to her as well, because they don't care. They curry influence and favor with whoever, regardless of what your ideology really is. So just to finish this off, I want to read you a little bit of the details here of Justice Gorsuch planning his Italian teaching gig. The law school was courting him in 2017. They asked him to help choose the Italian city where for 2 weeks the following summer he would co-teach a seminar on national security and the separation of powers. A memo offered options including Padua, I don't know how you say it, a first-tier city in a picturesque setting, Venice with its 7-mile-long sandbar known as Lido, and Bologna, Italy's most prestigious academic city. In the end, the class would be in Padua, where the law school put up the justice and his family in what a listing described as an aristocratic, antique-filled apartment in the heart of the old town. Wow. A draft handbook for the trip emailed to Justice Gorsuch made clear his teaching responsibilities would be limited to the mornings, leaving plenty of time for excursions, including planned visits in the afternoon. Fantastico, the justice responded.
It's nice work if you can get it, folks. Bologna is a beautiful city.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.